Once again, you are welcome to this edition of instructional video and online lesson for bed 430. Once again, my name is Dr. Ayodeji Muide Badmos, and today's lesson will be on lesson 5 for this course. So we are going to learn for today's lesson. We are going to discuss on learning materials. We're going to define it for ourselves. We're going to discuss on the categories of learning materials. We're going to discuss EGADE cone of experience, and we also look into the factor to be considered in producing learning materials. So let's sit back, let's enjoy ourselves. I hope you enjoy it. You're welcome.
Once again, you are welcome back to the class, and my name is Dr. Ayodeji Muide Badmos, and today's lesson will be our 5th lesson, and for page 430, and the course title is Design and Production of Learning Materials for Primary School. So let's start with the learning objective. What are we going to learn today? Today we are going to define to ourselves learning materials. Then we talk about the rationale for the use of learning materials. We are going to see into categories of learning materials, and we're going to analyze the EGADE cone of experience, and we're going to identify various sources of learning materials. So let's take it one after the other. What mean by learning materials? Learning materials, they are the material used by the classroom teacher to facilitate his or her lesson. The teachers make use to make their learning more efficient, more effective, and learners also use it for better understanding. So these are referred to anything that teacher employs to make the instructional process more active, interesting, interactive, and scientifically based. So we are also familiar with all these learning materials that students can engage themselves to, and the focus of it is to be student self-dependent on learning acquisition. Now, what are the rationale for the use of learning materials? There are so many reasons at which learning materials is used for primary education. So to develop a continuity of thought in learning through the use of pictures, slide films, especially motion pictures. These are the things that students are exposed to through the use of learning materials, and they can see the learning by themselves and learning by themselves. They also supply a concrete basis for the conceptual thinking and hence reduce meaningless word responses of students. There are so many ways at which teacher will be teaching, and the student will be thinking of how that thing can be. So, but with the aid of learning materials, by taking that thing out for students to see, it brings about concrete basis and concrete understanding. Then they supply the necessary basis for developmental learning and hence make learning more permanent. The more they see, if the teacher teaches with the relevant instructional materials, and it will help the student to remember very well, and it will make learning more permanent and more immediate. So they offer a reality of experience that stimulates self-activities on the part of the learner, because at the end of the lesson, if the teacher makes use of learning materials, students can go to that lesson again with that supply with learning materials, and they can learn on their own at their own pace, and it enhances their learning acquisition. Then they also contribute to the growth of meaning and hence to vocabulary development. This is common in language development, and those are the heart and those are the English language for students. With the aid of audio media, that is radio, students can enhance their own vocabulary development, which is the best use in this regard. Now we still continue. They have so many. They arouse and maintain the interest and attention of learner. They also, learning material contribute to the efficiency and depth with variety of learning, because if you go with the learning material, if the teacher makes use of learning material in the class, it makes their work more efficient, students learn better, and it calls for the uses of all the sense organs which make students to be active in the school. So they are also unbiased in dealing with and effecting desirable change in learner. So they are accepted by and appealing to all categories of learner, because we have different type of learner, we have students of gifted one, we have students that are at the average level, we have students that are below the average, and we have students of handicap. So whichever categories of the student, we have appropriate and relevant instructional material can assist in this regard. Then also the learning material provide experiences not easily secured from other sources. So these are the learning materials. Let's talk about these categories of learning materials. We have audio media, and this audio media are the media that apply to the sense of hearing and hearing alone. And this is the example. We have tape, radio recorder, we have telephone, we have CD, and there are so many. We have compact disc, we have public address system, and talking to, and so many. So the second one is visual projected. These are the electronic media that needed to be projected for projection as for students to see. So this makes use of electricity. And the example, we have film strip, we have video, we have slide, we have opaque, we have overhead projector, we have multimedia projector. This can be used to teach larger group of students, and this can be used to teach what you cannot bring to the class, and you have multifunctional that can enhance our teaching. Now the next one is the visual non-projected learning materials. These are the media that apply to sense of seeing, and we can only see them, and there are many, and we can make use of them. They are very simple, they are very cheap to use, like picture, like educational board, like learning board, like pictorial, like a map, like modules, like course materials, like textbook, like all the printed materials, posters, charts. These are visual materials. The next one is audio visual. The audio visual, they are the materials that apply to sense of hearing and sense of seeing. We've seen them before: television, computer, video, CD, VHS, that is video tape recorder, and they also can be used to teach in the class. Like you can make use of them to teach something that is very delicate, something that's very dangerous to bring to the class, and we can use them to bring documentary of a particular thing to students to see. They are very, very important. Then also realia are real objects. They are real objects that can bring to the class, and they are the best in some materials that can be used. They are animals, they are tools, they are artifacts, demonstration, they are mock-up, they are match, they are dramas, and they are exhibits. There are so many. They are the best in some materials that can be used, because whatever the teacher is teaching, that is the picture, that is that thing, because realia means real object. So we have community resources. These are the resources that are available within our environment that a teacher can use to teach in the class, like airport, art gallery, banks, palaces, museum, police station, that they are available in in our environment, and student can take the student out and see, and this also enhances teaching and learning process. Now let's do this classwork for just 2 minutes. Justify the rationale for using learning materials for teaching and learning process. Okay, thank you so much. Let's go on. Now, Egade Code of Experience. The importance of this Egade Code of Experience in relating to instructional process using learning materials. Egade of Code of Experience is a model that incorporates several theories related to instructional design and learning processes, and it is considered through the three aspects of learning that he talk about. Now he talk about symbolic experience, that students have 3 categories of experience: symbolic experience, iconic experience, and direct experience. The purpose of this Egade Code of Experience is that it gives room for active participation of students in the teaching and learning process. Then it emphasizes on direct learning experience, that the direct experience that makes students to learn, and students were able to participate very well, and the 90% of whatever students do at this level of experience, students do it better. Like a dramatized experience, constructive experience, demonstration method, and purposive experience. Then it also emphasizes on the active participation of the student. So the three modality of learning which it makes emphasis is we have abstract, that is symbolic, which also represent the verbal instruction. If the teacher only make use of verbal instruction, the student can only get 10% of the learning. And the second one is iconic, that is using a picture or visual media, and represent this one as 50% of experience. But if a teacher can make use of a demonstration method, filtering method, and it will also enhance direct learning, these are a native experience which guarantee 90% of experience, and this have been used as a model for instructional design. Now, what are the criteria for designing instructional media? There are so many factors need to be considered if at all we're going to design or produce instructional material. The first one is objective of the instruction. Whatever that we want to design or want to produce as regard to learning materials, it should be in line with stated objectives. And the second one is the audience. We need to consider our audience, that is our students, in terms of their age, in terms of their background, in terms of our ability, before we can embark on designing instructional materials. Then we should look into the cost. Is it expensive? Is it less expensive? Can it be found anywhere? So if it is expensive, we go for the one that we can buy. If we cannot get it with available money, we could go for improvisation. Now, this next one is availability. The materials we are looking for, is it available within our environment? Is it going to be imported? All kind of things, they are very, very important before we can embark on designing new instructional materials. The next one is teacher capability. Any material that student feel that he cannot operate personally in the classroom should not take it to the classroom. If at all it's necessary for him or her to use it in the classroom, he should go to the classroom with a technical assistant. So teachers should consider himself so that he will not be messing himself up in front of the student. So the next one is size of the class. This instructional material we are talking about, they are in different sizes. So it depending on the number of the student in the class and the size of our class. So that one will depend on which type of instructional materials that we can use. Or this one also is very, very important, where we have over 100 number of students in the classroom. Now the next one is operating facilities. In a room or in a class where we go to make use of some materials, and the some material that we are going to use going to need electricity or electricity power to operate it, and we should also consider whether that room or that classroom has such facilities. If the facility is not available, we don't need to take materials to that facility, to that classroom. So these are the things that we need to consider too. Then the time at which we are going to use to design new instructional materials, if it's going to take a lot of time, we should consider it. If at all we want to do it ourselves, we should consider the time we are going to spend so that it will not affect other things. Then if it will take more time, we can seek assistance or help of a graphic artist that can help us to do it. So all these criteria for designing new instructional materials, they are very, very important. And what are the sources at which we can get our instructional materials? Number one, through donation. We get instructional materials through donation from PTA. The PTA of the school can get instructional materials maybe for that particular school. Community as well can build a building block of classroom to host corporate bodies, philanthropists, alumni. They can as well help to donate instructional material. The second one is distribution of production by pupils in tertiary institution. You know, this course, like the course we are doing now, PED 430, and if we are going to do the practical aspect of it, we're going to instruct all the students to produce some materials on a particular topic in their own area of specialization. And this instructional material they have produced, this, and you know, it's this higher institution, we can, instead of it to keep it somewhere without using it, we can take it to the secondary school or primary school for students to use. So that is another way. The next one is through educational resource center. In each of the higher institution, even at the ministry level, and also the secondary school level, all the levels of education where we have teaching profession, all the levels, maybe university, secondary school, primary school, they have what we refer to as educational resource center. Educational resource center is a place where we keep our instructional materials. Instructional materials can be also be sourced from these centers to all the school. Then we have direct purchase. Direct purchase in the sense that as a teacher, and you think you want to make use of instructional materials that is available, you can buy it by yourself. The school also can buy it, the ministry can buy it, the federal government can buy it and send it to the school for the student to use. Now, let's do another class activities. Discuss what you consider as important factors when producing learning materials. Thank you so much. Thank you plenty. We're going to meet as well in the classroom. Thank you. You are welcome.